Hi, Scott from Wessex Blades Handmade Knives. Today we're going to be shaping some handles, so stay tuned and I'll show you how to get it from this state into a nice sculpted handle to use outdoors. Right, now first job, get some masking tape, any strong protective tape onto that well finished blade of yours, so any accidental contact you'll have with your abrasive belt or dropping it onto a work rest, you won't scratch the blade up. And then I go over to my bandsaw. It's a vertical bandsaw. I'll have a look close up in a second. And what I'm doing is I'm saving the extra brass pins, especially if it's a mosaic pin. I could use a 4 or 5 mil cutoff, and I can have that in a ferro rod. So I'm just trying to save what I can rather than have a scrap everywhere. And then I'm going onto my belt grinder, setting up at 90 degrees, because once I flip it horizontal, that allows my improvised work rest then to have the belt not grind into it. So I had to put it at 90 to begin with. There's my extraction just going on. Now, belts, all the different types you got. I've got a very coarse 36 or a 40. I've got the speed on slow. In a second you'll see my inverter. It's a controller for the belt grinder. I'd have that on about a third main speed, because the woods that I'm using, I don't want to burn them by putting too much speed on the actual work. Now, as I'm going across here, I'm trying not to wear the same point in the belt as I can help it. So every now and again you'll see me flip the piece of work over like a knife, and I'll go the opposite direction. There we go. That saves wearing out too many channels. And as I go around the entire knife, profiling it all off, it allows me to very gently, very slowly remove the excess of the scales without removing too much of the metal. You get a better finish, I find, going that way, long ways along the spine. So while I'm at it, I just do that as well. There we go with some burl, and here's the one that must go slowly. This is a cocobolo. So anything like African blackwood, desert ironwood, cocobolo, any wheelie wood like that, don't rush it. You've got to go nice and slow. It also saves messing around with the liners. Anything that goes too fast, you'll just burn it, and you'll end up having to remove any section of burnt liner or wood anyway. So going across the contact wheels there, nice and slowly, gradually removing the excess till now I'm down to the metal. Here you can tell I'm twisting the workpiece, so I'm putting some very gradual radii on there until I got the same profile on both sides. I prefer going horizontal on this stage. More than anything, it's so the work is up high to my face, and that's, I don't like working with my neck bent down, because it just puts a phenomenal amount of fatigue on your head, neck and shoulders. So I try and do as much work as I possibly can at this level. Here I'm bringing the fronts down, so I'm putting them very close to that blade, to that contact wheel, so be very careful. Now I'm just blending the top in again, blending the bottom in again, slow but sure, and sculpting the handles. So I've got the tops of the blade very, as you can see, really close to that wheel, so go steady. This little one here is more of a teardrop handle than a coat bottle. So I'm just gently removing some material, keeping the extraction on, keeping my mask on, getting rid of all the dust, because now what I've got to do is flip it back. Good exercise. It really builds up the biceps. Yeah. So now I'm going to a small contact wheel set. You can get these from a chap called Pommel. I'm putting on a 4-inch Delrin wheel, 4" or 100mm in euro. This is putting the sort of divots at the back of the handle. So the center of the blade having a palm, center of the handle having a palm swell, you just want to remove a little bit more to allow the heel of your hand to move in. And as you're sculpting the handle, everything needs to be blended, moved. There we go. And even though that 4" wheel is slightly too small to what I wanted, like a 6" wheel, I can get a 6" radius by, see me jiggling it backwards and forwards, like that. And what that does, it gives the impression of what a 6" radius would be, or maybe a 5 3/4. But that has given me a different shape. Now I'm just doing it at an angle. You see how? Up and over, and you roll it around, all to give you the little nuances of the ergonomic shape of the handle that I like making. Everybody does a different procedure. I like making my handles this way. Seems to fit my hand very well. Customers like my handles, so this is the way that I've arrived at doing it. As you see there, it's as if I had a bigger wheel. Right, now I need to knock a little bit more meat off the corners there. So I'm going to run it up and down the wheel slowly, but I don't quite go to the end of the handle. It stops where your index finger would be in there. And then a little tweak, and that removes a little bit more there. You see where my fingers are? Now I'm taking those facets off, blending it all in. There's not much pressure on the wheel. Just working it, turning what is basically a flat-faced wheel that's got a radius. I'm trying to get a rounded edge on my handle, so it's lots of little motions, not trying to hog it off. It's a lot faster than doing it by hand. You're just using that machine to give as natural contour on your knife hand as you possibly can before you go to hand finishing. I think I'm feeling I need a bit more off of there, so I'm just rounding it around like that. Yeah, nice and slow. And you'll notice when you're working different materials as well. If this was G10, this would take a lot longer because G10 is notoriously hard material. If I was doing U that was unstabilized, that belt would shred it. I might even go to a 60 or an 80 grit belt if I was doing different materials. These are stabilized, so they're quite resilient. It's sort of plasticized wood. So I know that a 36 is fine for this. It feels good in the hand. I'm happy with it. Knowing that I'm going to be blending it down with hand abrasives later. It does all the grips, I'm happy. Nice. Now we're just crowning the pommel off. So I'm going up to the wheel, but as you can see, that crown, I'm just addressing the back of the blade at maybe 5 degrees either side of straight onto it. So off comes the belt. What I'm doing now is I'm just using my work rest as another work surface. And there's the Rob Phillips knife vise. And I'm just knocking all the corners, blending it all in, and giving myself a nice 80 grit finish all over. And that's basically rough finished. Yeah, nice job. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you give us a like or think about subscribing to see any more lessons on knife making. And there's also a chance to support the channel and give a little bit back by clicking on our Patreon there and supporting the channel that way. Moving forward would be hand finishing. That's another video in itself. Thanks for staying to the end, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. Scott from Wessex Blades out on rough shaping a knife handle. So let's say huge thanks to all Patrons who support this channel. A special mention this week for Stephen Zabo. He's a very long-term supporter of Wessex Blades and he's done so for years. Anybody who's on Patreon gets early access to videos. They get special behind-the-scenes views with other videos as well. But best of all is they get first shout at available blades before they even get onto the website. So if you're interested in supporting the channel in another way, giving something back to the making of all the videos, take a look at my Patreon channel and maybe support me. Thanks. Scott, Wessex Blades.